Welcome back to Retirement is Underrated. I want to thank you for joining me back today. It's a beautiful day out here in upstate New York. Right after my first video, we had a lot of rain up in this area. So actually we got an inch of rain in the matter of a day. So we got deluge, but it's good and everything's blooming a lot up here. So definitely could use it. But just enjoying the beautiful weather up here in New York State. We Our season up here only lasts a short bit. We often joke that our summers are 2 weeks long and our winters are the rest of the year. I mean, the season is short up here in upstate New York. We've probably got maybe, I don't know, June, July, part of August. But it's funny, as soon as August 1st starts coming around, it starts getting cooler and then leaves start to change a little bit. It's crazy. Wrong in a lot of ways, but crazy. Today's what I wanted to talk about today was the motivation for retirement. There's a lot. Those of you who know me, I've talked about retirement ad nauseum before I was retired. In fact, it was so much a focus of mine. I dreamed of being retired and what that would be like, and I was, especially my poor wife, who often got the brunt of that, and just hearing, geez, yes, you're talking about it all the time. Yes, talking about it all the time. Probably drove her crazy, but it was a focus of mine, and there's a lot of the motivation for retirement, and I'll be talking about this over several videos, different topics on it. But for me, it was just there was a lot of things, and yes, I got my cheat sheet here. And for those of you who wondered, some thought this were sunglasses on the last video. Well, they're my cheaters. So without these, I'm blind as a bat. So I can see distance, but not up close. So if we go to a restaurant, I got to bring my glasses, because otherwise I'm going to go hungry. You don't want to go hungry. So, I want to talk about just, I want to start off just talking about, with my mother and father, they never really retired. My father passed away in 1983 at the age of 57, had cancer of the colon, but he was an architect, wonderful. He was quite the talented individual. Never got his license because, I'll talk about that in another video. But he was of the generation where they were, after working so many years as an apprentice, as an architect, they would get their license. And the year that my father would have gotten his license, they took away that clause, and he would have had to go back to college. So he never did become an architect and had to have people sign his work for years. And he was quite a talented individual, but he was also in the military during the Second World War, and just, he worked hard for his family. We never had a whole lot. There were actually 5 boys in the family. And, for him, he often joked that he was going to be working for him and my mom. They were going to be working in their retirement. They never saved anything, but they were happy. They had their moments, but they're happy and satisfied with life. And, he moved us up from New Jersey to Cape Cod, and I'll share that another time, just the adventure that was. But, he was a good father, but he's died in 1983 at the age of 57. He never got to retire, and that was tragic. He and my mom, were robbed of those years of not spending time together. And my mother, who died back in 2007 of cancer of the colon again, she never really retired. For her, work became the social outlet. And although we would encourage her, why don't you just retire and enjoy some of your retirement that you put aside and just work in the garden and enjoy. She really, for her, she wanted to be at work and be around people, and that was really her social outlet. And as much as we tried to get her to enjoy a retirement at home, that never really came about. And then, she got ill. She had cancer of the colon, of course, and she died at age 79. And it's tragic. And I just, I always thought, I'm gonna work till I'm 70 and just retire then and save a bunch of money and whatever. But I just kept on thinking about it. Wow, what if none of us are guaranteed tomorrow? And then I looked at friends of ours, the friends of the family that we knew. There's a couple that we knew back in New Jersey, and he worked at Ma Bell before the telephone companies were broken up. and he had a retirement, and he was able to retire at 55. 55. And I thought, wow, that is just fantastic. Just to be able to do that and to enjoy him and his wife. They eventually moved up to Cape Cod, and wonderful people, and they were friends of the family for years, and they got to enjoy a great retirement and live to a ripe old age. So, there was an example. I thought, wow, I would love to be in that position, and, I, for, a lot of us, we always thought we were going to work long. In fact, I was talking to my brother the other day. He says, and I told him I was starting up a YouTube channel. And he says, you got too much time on your hands. And isn't that the thing? Isn't that the thing you want? Time on your hands, time to do the things that you want to do. So, for me, the motivation of retirement is just to have time. For years, I had worked. My wife, we were blessed. My wife had the ability to stay home. She raised our two kids. I was working. I was a software developer for hospital information systems, and we were never rich. We never had a lot of money, but we made do, and we were blessed in a lot of ways. And so, we had the privilege of her staying at home, and our kids turned out great. They're wonderful kids. They're both doing their own thing. One's over in Europe right now, and the other one just graduated with a graphic artist design degree, and they're just enjoying life, and really, really good kids, and actually I should say young adults now. So, my wife's still working, and here I'm retired, but at the point that I did stop in the last video, I talked about the stress getting to me and with the work and all, and I had the ability to retire. Now, and I'll talk about different topics about the retirement and stuff that in later times, but it was so good to stop and to retire. I really had a change of heart. And I heard somebody talk about one of the channels that I follow. We're not guaranteed tomorrow. We don't know if we have another day, another hour, and it just really makes you stop and wonder. Now, my brothers, it's funny. They say, what do you do with your time? And for them, working is their thing. Even my middle brother, he's still working part-time, retired. He's doing well, successful, great guy. And one brother's still working because he has to. And another one works because he chooses to. And that's how he fills his time. All of them enjoying enriched lives in their own terms. So for me, though, I really wanted to take time to retire, to do things, to enjoy, work around the house. Actually, there's lots of things to fill up your time with, and I'll be sharing some of those things in the coming weeks and time that I have with you. But I'm truly grateful. The motivation just to spend time with my wife, to enjoy the time that we've got. I listened to one podcast today, and he was talking about his brother was 63, I think, or born in 1963, and he's gone. Never got to enjoy retirement, and it's tragic. We don't know how much time we've got, and so I'd encourage you, if you got the ability to retire, do it. There's for a long time I just with that mindset of, I'll work till 70, I'll save up a bunch of money, and I could save millions and millions of dollars, or so you think, but and I used to watch these channels that talked about that. In fact, I was on a podcast once years ago when they were just like an audio podcast, and I was interviewed by the guy, and we were talking about it, and said, well, I'm going to retire at 70, and he thought that was a great idea, and it was all, but I started, the more I listened, the more I researched, the more I watched. I started watching like Heritage Wealth Foundation, Josh Scanlon. He had a lot of great points. He talks about the crappy old job, COJ, and he's right. Time's short. You don't know how much time you got. So I think let's see. And now I have to read my notes and make sure I didn't miss anything here. That's what I aim for. And, you know, it really was a change of heart. And I want to make the most of the time that I've got. I don't know. Maybe I'll live to be a ripe old age of 90. And my aunt was in her 90s in great health. And I'm thankful for that. I'm my mother's sister. She did well, and great lady. And, just to enjoy. I want to enjoy my kids. I want to enjoy my young adult kids, children. And I want to enjoy time with my wife. So, I just, as we look into things, take time. Take time and really enjoy life and the blessings that you have. And I will talk, and if I'm repeating myself, forgive me, but there are ways of doing things, and you don't have to be a millionaire either to retire. You don't have to have a whole bunch. It all depends on what you do. Like my mom used to say, and I'll talk more in the future about that, but she used to always say constantly to me growing up, she said, well, Tim, you could do a lot with a little, or a little with a lot. And I tend to do a lot with the little what I have, and enjoy life and enjoy the wife of my youth. And thank you for joining me today on Retirement is Underrated. It is definitely underrated. And please, as all the cool kids on YouTube say, click and subscribe and click, or click and bang that like button and all that crazy stuff. But definitely join me on this journey as we talk about things. So I want to thank you for watching today. I want to thank you for your patience through this video, but I'm grateful. Honestly, this YouTube community that has been wonderful. They've been very accepting, very supportive, and I appreciate that a ton. So I want to thank you for all those who have encouraged me. I want to thank you. And until the next time, remember, retirement is underrated. Is that it? No, that's not it.